Welcome to our session on cost theory. So in economics, cost theory simply explains how firms are able to make production-related decisions based on the cost of input and the cost of producing goods and services. Now, these costs are very central to decision-making, both for the short term and the long run. So we're going to look at the types of costs that we have. We have what we call the fixed costs. So these are costs that do not vary with output. Costs like rent, salaries, insurance, depreciation. So the cost theory assumes that our total cost is a combination of our total fixed cost and our total variable cost. So the fixed costs are costs that are constant. They don't change with production. All right. So we're going to come up with 6 formulas just from this. Anything divided by quantity is called average. So when you divide our total cost divided by quantity, we're going to get our average total cost. If we're going to divide our total fixed cost by quantity, what do we get? The T becomes an A. Total fixed cost divided by quantity, we're going to get our average what? Fixed cost. If we divide our total variable cost by quantity, what do we get? Average what? Variable cost. Right together. So when we add these two, average fixed cost plus average variable cost, what do we get? Our average total cost. So average total cost is when we add the average fixed cost plus average variable cost. And what is a variable cost? When we're dealing with variable costs, we're dealing with costs that change with what? With output. So variable costs, they change with output. Examples of variable costs are what? Raw materials, direct labor, packaging. So when production is zero, our variable cost is also zero, in short. Are we together? So our total cost function is a function in terms of the fixed cost and the variable cost. So the fixed costs are costs or constants. The variable costs are costs that alter with production. So I've talked about average measures. How did we say we calculate the average fixed cost? Average fixed cost is given by what? Total fixed cost divided by quantity. So this average cost declines due to the spreading of the fixed cost. So if you're going to look at this graphically, the average fixed cost is on downsloping, the total cost looks like that. Okay? The marginal cost looks like that. So we have average variable costs. These are our total variable cost over quantity. Our average total cost is when we divide the total cost over quantity. That is what we call our average total cost, or when we add the average fixed cost plus the average variable cost. Collectively, we get what we call the average total cost. Then the marginal cost is simply the additional cost that we have. It's a change in total cost over change in quantity. So if we're going to have just a simple analogy, so if we're going to have our quantity, for instance, we have quantity 1, 2, 3, and 5, right? And we're told that our total cost is given by 5 plus 2q. So we're going to calculate our total cost based on this function. So if we add, when q is 1, when we put 1 there, it'll be 5 plus 2, which is 7. So our total cost here will be what? 7. How about if our quantity is 2? So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is what? 4 plus 5 is what? 9, isn't it? Then if our Q is 3, 3 times 2, 6. 6 plus 5, we get 11. If we put a 4 there, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. So you see the increase is growing by what? By 2. So this is 15. So this is how we're finding our total cost. What is our fixed cost? Our fixed cost is a constant. So from here, our fixed cost is what? 5, 5, 5, 5 throughout. 5. It's a constant figure that we have. Okay? What is our average a variable cost? A variable cost, we know that when you add variable cost plus fixed cost, we get the total cost. So it is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. Here is a variable cost. Just subtract this minus that is 4. What is a variable cost here? 5 minus 11 minus 5, get 6, 8, 10. So this is our variable cost. So when you add the fixed cost plus variable cost, we get the total cost. What is our marginal cost in this case? It is a change in total cost of a change in quantity. So the distance from here to here divided by the distance from here to here. So the first one is a dash because there's nothing on top there. What is the increase in total cost? From 9 minus 7 divided by 1, 2 minus 1. So this is 2 over 1, which is 2. What is the marginal cost here? 11 minus 9 divided by 3 minus 2, another 2. What is the difference here? 13 minus 11. So the marginal cost is 2 throughout. So our marginal cost is what? 2. Okay. Average total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost with the same parameters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What did we say is our average when divided by quantity? So total cost divided by 1, that is 7. 9 divided by 2, 4.5. 11 divided by 3, 3.75. 13 divided by 4, 3.25. Then 15 divided by 5 is 3. So you can see that our average total cost is downsloping. It's dropping from 7, going downwards to 3. So it has a downward trend. Okay, so you need to also know how these curves look like. So the average total cost is downsloping, goes down. How do we get the average fixed cost? When you divide the fixed cost of a quantity. So 5 divided by 1 is 5. 5 divided by 2, 2.5. 5 divided by 3, 1.67. 5 divided by 4, 1.25. 5 divided by 5, it's 1. Average variable cost. We are dividing this by that. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we have the cost structure, which looks almost something like this. Okay, so in essence, we're trying to learn how costs behavior move like. So if fixed cost is always downsloping because we have a fixed amount, but the quantity is increasing. So as you divide these figures become smaller. Any questions so far before I proceed? So we can also use some calculus. Those who attended my other class, I took you through differentiation. How to differentiate in our calculus. So you need to understand that differentiation is the mother of economics, finding the change in one variable with respect to change in another. So marginal cost is the additional cost cut to produce one unit output. So marginal cost is the change, the TC over the Q. So it is derived from the slope of the total cost function. So in case you missed my calculus, so if you're going to be given y is equal to a x to the power n. So the y over the x simply means you're going to multiply the power times the constant. Okay? So n a, so we're going to have na, then the power n minus 1. So meaning you are simply multiplying the numbers and subtracting the power later. So if you're going to have 5x4, how do you differentiate this? Multiply the numbers. 5 times 4 is 20. And you subtract 1 from the power, which is 4 minus 1 is 3. So let's do this together. 4x2, 4x, 2x3, 2, 10x half. 4q3. So the derivative of 4x3, 4x2 is what? 8x to the power 1. I'll start with this one. Because I multiplied 2 times 4 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 is invisible. So who wants to try what is the derivative of 4x? So there's a power 1 there. So 1 times 4 is 4. Then here there's a power 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So the x falls out. Okay, what is 2x2? Will give us what? 4x. What is 2? If there's a constant, it's 0 and differentiate it. What is 10x the power half? So half times 10 is 5. So put your 5 there. Then subtract half minus 1 is negative half. What is 4q3? Wants to try this one? Everybody try to differentiate that. Are you seeing my screen? Astrid, are you able to see?
Yes, I am.
So 4q3.
Yes, we are.
So you multiply 3 times 4. What do we get? 12. Then what happened to the power 3?
12.
You subtract 1 from
It will be 2.
2. Correct? Right together. So let's differentiate. Suppose you had a function like P is equal to 170 Q minus 5Q squared. So to differentiate, it is the letter on the left side, dP over the letter on the right side, dQ. That's for starters. That's what we call differentiation, the change. Then what happens to the 170Q? It is simply 170. Any number with just a letter is just that number. 10Q, 10. 100Q, 100. 170Q is 170. Then what is 5Q2? It is 10 what? 10Q. So anything differentiated is marginal. So if you're differentiating the TR, total revenue, it becomes what? Marginal revenue. If you're differentiating total cost, the T becomes an M, the name changes to marginal cost. Total product, the derivative becomes marginal product. Total profit, marginal profit. All right. So we're still under cost theory, and I need you to understand those key terms. All right. Before we proceed, any questions? Okay, so we're given this question here that the total cost is given by 50 plus 25Q plus 3Q squared plus 5Q. So we're asked to find the average fixed cost at 10 units, average variable cost at 10 units, average total cost at 10 units, the marginal cost at 10 units. So in this context, the question is, how do we find what is our uh, fixed costs there? And what is our marginal cost? What is our average cost? So our total cost is equal to, the cost has two components. The part that has no letters is called the fixed cost, and the part that has letters is called the variable cost. So we have our total cost is what? 50 plus 25Q plus 30Q squared plus 5Q3. So what is our total fixed cost? What is our total fixed cost? What is our total fixed cost? It's 50.
Okay.
Then what is our average fixed cost? Is total fixed cost over quantity, right? Anything over quantity becomes what? Average. So our total fixed cost is what? 50 over quantity, which is Q. So we can't simplify further here. But we've been told, what is our quantity? 10 units. So we divide 50 divided by our quantity, which is 10 units. So what becomes our average fixed cost at 10 units? Will be 5. All right. So our fixed cost is this component. Which one is our variable cost? Our total variable cost from that equation is a component that has letters.
25Q, 30Q,
Good.
5Q.
The total variable cost will be what? 25Q plus 30Q2 plus what? 5Q3. So what is our average variable cost in this case now? What is the formula for the average variable cost?
Total variable cost over Q.
Good. So meaning we're going to spread the Q to all of these guys. 25Q over what? Q plus 30Q2 over what? Q plus 5Q3 over what? Q. What remains our answer? The average variable cost. 25, if it was a Q, cancel there, plus 30Q1 plus what? 5Q Q2. Is that clear? Here, this cancels with that. Here, there are 2 Q's remain with 1. Here, there are 3 Q's remain with 2. Are we together?
Yes.
Then, since our Q is 10, we're going to substitute. Where there is Q, we're going to put what? 10. So 30, here put 10. Then here we have 5, we're going to put 10 squared. So this will be 25 plus what? 300 plus what?
25.
Plus 500. Which will be what? 825. Are we together? So average cost is that one here. So who remembers how do you find the average total cost? Simply combining the average what? Fixed cost plus average variable cost. Average fixed cost was 5, and average variable cost was what? 825. And you add these two, you get what? 830. So you can use a long cut. You say average total cost is simply what? The total cost divided by quantity. Then you start doing dividing the entire total cost function by quantity. This one will be 50 over Q, this one will be 25, this one will be 30Q, this one will be 5Q2. Then you evaluate. Then lastly, but not the least, how do you find the marginal cost? Marginal cost is when you differentiate. Anything marginal is additional. Marginal cost is what? GTC when you differentiate the total cost with respect to what? The quantity. DTC over DQ. So let's differentiate here. What happens to 50? It's a constant, it will drop. What happens to 25Q? What's the derivative of 25Q? It's 25. Remember, say 10Q, 10, 5Q, 5, 1Q is 1. What is the derivative of 30Q2?
So it will be 32Q.
32Q
60Q.
is the Q1, yes. About 5Q3? 15? Q what? Q2. Because here there's a 3, right? So 3 times 5, 15. 3 minus 1, 2. Are we together so far?
Yes.
Then we substitute. Where there is a Q, we put a what? A 10. So here we're going to put a 10. You're going to put 15 times what? 10 squared. So this will be what? 25 plus 600 plus 1500. So when we add up, that would be 2100 and 2105. So this will be our marginal cost. Are we together?
We are together.
All right. So this is exactly how this question was supposed to be answered.
So, Mr. Collins, I want to ask
Mm-hmm.
a question.
Yes,
So our formula was MC equals to change in total cost over change in quantity.
yes, change in
So
total
why
cost.
aren't we dividing the answer by change in quantity?
We're not dividing because it's a differential. It's just um, showing that there's a change. Remember, I came from telling you that if you have y is equal to 4x to the power 3, we denote the differential by saying dy over dx because we're differentiating the letter on the left side, which is y, against the letter on the x on the left side. But you're not dividing anything, just a denotation. So this is 4x2, which is 8x1. So it ends here as your answer. So most students want to divide by the figures. They're not dividing anything. We're just differentiating. What is the change? So the 50 dropped out. 25 cubed became what? 25. 30 cubed squared became 60 cubed. 5 cubed 3 becomes 15 cubed. That's all. This is the other word for marginal cost. It's a denotation. Don't divide anything. Is that clear?
Yes, thank
Right. So if that is clear, we can proceed to look at revenue analysis. So under revenue analysis or optimization, you need to understand the key concepts that when we want to maximize, we differentiate. You can maximize or minimize. So revenue analysis is about understanding how to maximize our sales revenues. So the key terminologies that we need to look out for. So the total revenue is noted by TR, which is given by price times quantity. So total revenue is price times quantity, where P is a price per unit, Q is a quantity. So total revenue is a nonlinear function, which is given by that. So if your price, for instance, is 170 minus 5Q, Q is never given, so they ask you find total revenue. So total revenue is simply what? Price times quantity. So what is our price? 170 minus 5Q. And what is the quantity? You impute the Q there. So total revenue, we now expand. 170Q becomes 170Q here. 170 times Q is 170Q. What is 5Q times Q? It will be 5Q squared. So this is what we call our total revenue. And what is our marginal revenue? Our marginal revenue is when you differentiate the TR over the Q. The letter on the right side over the letter, the letter on the left side over the letter on the right side. So we are differentiating. So 170Q and differentiate it will be what? 170. How about 5Q squared and differentiate it will be what? 10Q. So we're not dividing by Q. We leave it there as it is. But average, you divide by Q. If they ask you to find average revenue, anything average is you divide the revenue, that formula divided by quantity. So average revenue is what? Total revenue divided by quantity. This is not differentiating, it's dividing. So what was our total revenue? Our total revenue was 170 Q. And what was our minus 5Q squared? Divided by what? Q. So you divide by Q throughout. Even here by Q. So 170Q, the Q and Q cancels, so it will be 170. 5Q squared, there are two Q's, there's one Q there, you're going to remain with what? 5Q. So this is average revenue. It's different from differentiating. Let's treat it together. So when differentiating, it's a principle. The TR over the Q, this is a denotation. We differentiated 170Q becomes 170. 5Q squared become 10Q. But when dealing with average revenue, it is dividing the total revenue over quantity. So you space out this. Don't use one division sign, then divide by Q, because you end up forgetting to cancel out the Q when you divide there. So divided by Q. So 170 Q over Q is 170. 5 Q squared over Q, it's 5. So this is our average revenue. Is that clear? Are we together? So when they ask you, therefore, to maximize revenue, anything maximize or optimize you equate to 0. So marginal revenue equated to 0, we are maximizing revenue. Okay? So in this case, we want to find the units that will maximize revenue. So whenever marginal revenue is equal to 0, we are maximizing revenue. Whenever marginal cost is equal to 0, we are minimizing cost. So we can't maximize cost. Whenever marginal product is equal to 0, we are maximizing production. Whenever marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, we are maximizing profit. So in this case, we have been asked maximize revenue. We use this one here. Marginal revenue must be equal to 0. So what was our marginal revenue? 170 minus what? 10Q. You equate it to 0. So we solve for Q. So when this one goes the other side, 170 is equal to what? 10Q. And you divide both sides by Q or by 10, so that we solve for Q. So what is the value of Q? The value of Q is therefore 17. So quantity is equal to 17. But when you're asked to maximize, you need to find both the quantity and the price. So how do you find the price? You go back to the original price that has been given. So to find the value of the price, you say 170 minus 5Q. Where there's Q, you put 17. So you're going to find your price as 85. So this carries about 5 marks. So you need to know how to maximize in that context. So you also must understand that whenever we're given our total costs and our total revenues, the difference between the costs and the revenue is called profit. So profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost in brackets. So when we get a negative, we call it a loss. When we get a positive, we call it a profit. Then when we differentiate our profit, the profit over the quantity, we call that the marginal profit. So marginal profit is when you differentiate the profit. Anything differentiated is called marginal. When you differentiate the costs, it's called marginal cost. When you differentiate the revenues, you got marginal revenue. When you differentiate productivity, you call it marginal product. So when you differentiate the profit function, it's called the marginal what? Profit. So when you equate the marginal profit to 0, you are maximizing profit. Or when you equate the marginal revenue with the marginal cost, we are maximizing our profit. So your homework now, therefore, is as follows. Question number 7. You're given total revenue and total cost. Find the level of output which maximizes your total profit and find the maximum profit that the firm will earn. These questions repeat themselves. Okay.